Hi, my name is Ariel Starbird. Today is June 11th, 2023. I have with me today Johnny, a high school student in New York City, New York. He has been in the program for about a year and a half. Hi, Johnny. How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm good.
That's great. Tell me, please, what health issues were you experiencing prior to starting the program?
Well, health issues. I was very skinny. I was constantly out of breath, even when doing mild activities like walking up a few steps or even just walking. I would get up from a chair and walk, and I'd be out of breath. And I'd notice this, and I'd be like, why is this happening? Why am I out of breath all the time? And I had no idea why. So I just started running more. At the time, I was very into running, and so I started running a lot more.
Okay. What other issues were you experiencing at that time?
I didn't have a lot of muscle mass. All of my weight was just mostly in bones and cartilage and other things like that. Once I started the program, I started to get a lot more muscle mass, and
What other issues were you having at that time?
I would have trouble thinking. I would constantly be skipping from thought to thought. I couldn't stay on one topic. I couldn't focus.
Or like an attention deficit sort of issue?
And also another thing which I noticed, which was very strange, it was like a forced habit. Anytime I would see anything, an object, a person, the sky even, I would trace it with my head. Like, for example, a vase. I would see a vase and I'd like trace it with my head. And it'd be a forced habit. Like I couldn't control it. Anytime I see anything, I would just start tracing it and like as if I was drawing it in my mind. And it was very annoying and like almost scared me because I felt like I couldn't control my own body.
Okay. What are some of the other things? I recall you mentioning things like headaches and you had stomach aches and you had some constipation that was a problem.
Yes,
So talk about that.
I also had constipation. I wouldn't go to the bathroom for many days on end. Sometimes I would only go to the bathroom like 5 times a week. My vision was impaired severely. I would be able to see, but it'd be blurry. Anything past like 6, 7 feet was very blurry. And I also had speech impairments. I would forget a lot of words that I learned, vocabulary. I would just be stuck in the middle of a sentence, not being able to figure out what to say.
I think that's more cognitive performance. That's not speech per se.
Yes,
You had a
yeah,
hard time
you're
thinking
right.
of words. You would forget words. Okay. Continue. I remember you mentioning that you had bad dreams a lot.
I would have nightmares every night. I would wake up in the morning. Sometimes I'd be afraid to go to sleep because I knew I would have a nightmare.
And you mentioned sometimes you would have like extreme emotions. Can you say a little more about that?
Yeah, I felt like very extreme. One moment I could be skipping around the house, gleefully just singing about something, very happy. And the next moment I would just be super depressed. I would look like I had been through World War One. I had a lot of mood swings.
I see. Any other health issues at that time?
I also had severe my abilities in math were severely impaired. I forgot a lot of math facts. I couldn't even properly understand the times table. I forgot most of the times table. It took me longer than normal to complete simple addition and subtraction. I remedied that by going to an after-school program,
Oh,
but I feel like that also was connected to my physical problems.
gotcha. And for how long did you have all of those issues?
They started around COVID 2020.
I see. And how did you attempt to solve these problems before you started the program?
At first, I would just do very mild workouts. I would run in place. I would run wherever I could, even in the hallways of school. I would lift heavy objects with my left hand. I'm a righty. So I try to balance out the hand's strength.
I see. You wanted to be ambidextrous.
Yes.
Did you believe that becoming ambidextrous would solve all these problems?
No, but I knew it'd solve some of them.
Okay. How has what has been the most beneficial part of our holistic health and fitness coaching program for you?
Definitely say I would be able to run a mile. For most of my life, that has been a big goal, being able to run a mile nonstop. I had tried it many times before, but I don't think I've ever actually done it. One, mainly because I didn't have the right measurement tools. I couldn't actually tell if I had ran a mile or not. And B, I'm not sure I had the strength or endurance or the guidance to actually do it.
Gotcha. Well, in this program, the most you ran was actually 2 miles, almost 2 miles at one time. So that's very applaudable. And we haven't been focused mainly on running. That's just part of it. And it's kind of fun to do. But I applaud the fact that you actually ran almost 2 miles. So,
Yes, that was a big achievement.
yes, I think so. What is the most important thing you learned in the program, and how are you applying it in your daily life?
Before, I lived on the fifth floor of my building. We didn't have an elevator. And so every day I would go to school, I'd have to traverse up 5 flights of stairs up and down. And that's very hard for me. I would be out of breath as I got to the top. But now during the program, I'll be able to run up the stairs even.
Yes, and I remember you mentioning that sometimes you ride your to the park and you ride it,
Yes.
and then you walk, the flights of stairs with the bike, and you're able to do that. Whereas before, you
Yeah.
mentioned how you would be out of breath, you really couldn't do that. You couldn't carry the bike up,
Yeah.
and now you can, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's excellent. That may seem like a small thing, but actually that's very important because you need to be able to carry your bike up the stairs if you're going to go ride a bike, right?
Yeah.
So how has this program changed your life?
Definitely for the better. Although it was very hard and strenuous, it was definitely for the better.
Can you name some top 3 ways that your life has changed as a result of the program?
One, I'm doing a lot better at school. Although I didn't mention this before, my grades weren't that great. Although they were good, they weren't as great as I wanted them to be. Number two, I definitely feel a lot more confident in my body. Before I was hypercritical and super self-conscious. Now that I really improved my body and shape, I feel a lot better about it. And three, I can think a lot faster and clearer. Before, my mind would be racing from topic to topic, image to image, memory to memory. I couldn't control that. I couldn't clear it, still it. Now it's definitely a lot more stable.
Excellent. And as part of your training, some meditation, I've been training you how to meditate, doing simple meditations. And you actually been doing some of them, not as regularly as probably preferred, but you've been doing some meditations. Is that correct?
Yes.
And so what has been your experience with meditation?
I've noticed when I'd meditate, I would be able to predict things before they'd happen. Like, I would be in my room, in my bed, and I could predict if someone or something was going to walk into my room. Something in my head would just tell me, very strong, like voice in my head would tell me, someone's coming into your room. And I feel I wouldn't believe them, but something just told me, believe them. And so I believed them, and someone surprisingly walked into my room.
Interesting. Yeah, martial artists talk about that, how when they're really one with everything and very calm and still, they can predict the movements of their opponent. So this will be very useful for you in your martial arts training, being able to predict the movements of the people around you. So definitely keep meditating for sure. And so how much lean muscle mass did you gain so far? What was your weight at the start of the program?
At the start of the program, I weighed about 90 to 95 pounds,
And how much do you weigh today?
120.
And so that's really good. Obviously, you're growing, you're a teenager, so you're growing, so that's normal. Just so that it's very, very clear, what is that muscle mass composed of? It's muscle.
Before the program, actually, I had a little bit of fat under the jaw here For my entire life, I'd never been chubby, fat, overweight, nothing, always skinny. That really came as a shock to me because it made me look like a double chin from this angle. You could see it was protruding like that. I couldn't figure out why.
And then during the program, it cleared, whatever that was,
Yes,
it went away. Okay, good. And that helped with your self-image.
yes, definitely.
Okay, excellent. And you do have more muscle tone and definition. So you're not bodybuilding or anything, but you do have a lot more muscle tone and definition since you started the program, right?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. How has the program helped your mental and emotional health?
Now my emotions are very stable. I can control them a lot easier.
So some of the, obviously the meditation we mentioned earlier, but some of this stoic type of training where you learn to not be attached to the emotions or the outcomes necessarily of other people's actions, not to be attached to all the things in the environment, learning how to do that, learning how to stay centered and focused on your goals as you move through the ever-changing environment. That's a very important part of the training, kind of a philosophical aspect of it. Would you say that's been helpful to you?
Yes.
Excellent. What is the most important thing you got out of the martial arts training?
I definitely feel that I can defend myself a lot better than I could before. Before, I felt like if someone attacked me, I didn't know what to do.
Excellent. And now you feel like you know a little bit more of what to do, right?
Hmm.
What is the most important thing you got out of the strength training?
I could definitely carry a lot heavier loads now.
I see. What would you say is your most proud achievement in the program?
Definitely being able to run a mile.
Excellent.
That's been a big goal.
Okay, fantastic. Well, then we'll definitely do more running. Maybe the next goal is to run 5 miles, right?
Oh,
On a scale of 1 to 10, how much value did you get out of the program so far?
10, definitely.
Excellent. What would you say to someone who maybe just like you, who wants to perform better in athletics, who struggles with health, maybe has all kinds of things going on with their health that they really don't have a remedy for? They don't know what to do about those things and they're kind of struggling alone and they hesitate to reach out and join the program. What would you say to someone like that?
Well, if you're currently in school right now, you know that they don't teach you about health. Most of the medical staff or nurses have some sort of illness or health problem, like obesity, or on medications themselves. If we have a medical system of which its own staff and participants need medical attention, then obviously it's not going to work. So there's no point in waiting and saying, oh, it might not work, because the other way definitely will not work.
And what will work, John?
Your program.
Thank you. Say just a little more. What can people expect? Let's say they join the program. They've never been coached in anything in the past, ever. They're doing all this stuff for the first time, changing their food, maybe starting to exercise. What can they expect?
It's going to be hard. I can compare it to this. If you're in a very dark room or in a very light room, and you immediately switch to a very dark or light room, you're looking at a very bright screen like your phone screen, and you turn it off in your very dark room, it hurts your eyes, doesn't it? For the change. The change in different light exposures is very hard on your eyes. But as you get used to whatever the new light is, it doesn't hurt anymore. That's what I can compare the program to.
I see.
Change is hard.
Change is hard, but is it worth it?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much, Johnny, for sharing your feedback. I really appreciate it. Have an amazing rest of your weekend. Bye-bye.
Thank you. You too. Goodbye.